this is Sherry Elliott Pope, and welcome back to How to Art. Today we're going to be working on a landscape painting. I've pre-primed the canvas with 2 coats of gesso and did an underpainting of shades of blue. You can see the color palette listed. We're going to be using these colors and also mixing these colors to create the other colors that you see in the painting. I'm painting the sky area now with titanium white that I've mixed a touch of blue with, so I have a blue tinted sky. So this cool colors that will recede in the background. I will also be laying some darker shades of blue and violet. We're going to be using a complementary color palette, tetrad as noted on the color wheel. We'll be using blue greens, blue violets, red orange, and yellow orange. To be respectful of your time, I'm going to try to be efficient with this video and speed up the video and do voiceovers so that you can get the maximum results in the least amount of time. Let's review painting clouds. So we want the base of the cloud to be a darker color. It's generally how they look. And we're going to have on top of the cloud mid-range colors, and then proceed to the lighter and highlight areas of the cloud. I generally see people painting cumulus clouds, and the cumulus clouds have rounded areas on them. So we don't want to have any sharp edges. It's going to be more fluffy. We want to create that appearance of fluffy and not just thrown on the canvas, but blended in such a way that it looks more realistic. Okay, adding the highlights now to the clouds. I decided to add another cloud on this side of the picture to give it a more balanced appearance. I'm working on the land mass in the background. So I'm using the orange color just to draw a line basically of where my water and land meet. As you know, this red-orange is a complementary color of the blue-green. So we're going to have some red-orange in this land mass because they look good together. But I'm also going to be adding some green here for the distant landmass. Now that I've identified where the land areas are, I can add in the lake. Have you noticed that where the land and water meet, there is almost like a dark line, which is the land as it appears as we look through the water. And so I'm going to be creating that with some muted colors because this won't be bright colors that we see. And we're laying down some different muted shades, and that gives the appearance of an actual land mass, so that it's just not a layer of land sitting on top of the water, but it's showing that it has depth. And so we're going to leave this for now, and we will be coming back and going over it. I'm going to be further developing that distant land by some muted shades of green. I've got some yellow greens here. I'm adding in some shrubs and trees, and these are going to be muted colors in our color palette. While I'm allowing that background to dry, I'm going to come in and put down some preliminary greens for my foreground. With acrylic paint, as well as any paint, I'm sure, you're laying down layers of color and going over it and pulling up some of the previous color that was laid down, and it just gives it a more natural appearance. We're going to be making our foreground colors more vibrant, more saturated than the colors that are in the background. I've got the line brush now. We're going to make some trees in the distance. You can see that I've mixed a light brown tan color for those trees, and when we get to the trees in the foreground, they will be darker. This is one of my favorite brushes to create leaves on trees. It's an older brush and the bristles have been frayed, and so it lends to just making some dots for foliage on the tree. Again, I am using muted colors in the background. So we've got some muted greens, a darker and a lighter muted green, and also we'll be adding some muted yellows and oranges. Let's add some shadows on the ground from the trees. What is critical in the initial stages of your painting is to establish where the sun is or where the light's coming from. And so we can see that the sun is up in the sky and that it is in the corner, on this corner, and so we see that that light from the sun is going to affect everything in our picture. So we see that the lightest highlights where those are and the darker areas are. We're going to be capturing the shadow of these trees in the water. It's going to have some of the colors that we see in the trees reflecting in the water. I've mixed together a glaze with blending medium and phthalo blue. I've added a little bit of water with that to thin it down. And now I am going over the backwater area with this glaze. It's going to make it look like it all belongs together, but you'll still be able to see the colors coming through the glaze. On the foreground whites that I'm using a pure titanium white, but further in the background I am using tinted whites, and that all gives the sense of depth and placement where things are, because naturally things that are duller are in the background, and things that are more vibrant are in the foreground. We're going to create the trees that are closest to us. We will be using darker, more vibrant colors for this. Also going to use the palette knife to help create the appearance of bark on the trees. Again, we're considering where the sun is, and so we're indicating the lighter side that's influenced by the sun and the darker shadow side. The palette knife is really effective at creating texture on your painting, so I especially like to use it on tree bark. I'm using a filbert brush now, and I have just added a tiny bit of paint to the very edge of the bristles, and I'm just lightly tapping to create the appearance of new leaves in the spring. I'm going to allow the leaves and trees on the other side of the painting to dry while I create the other tree in the foreground, really, which are framing our painting. As we see both of the branches of the tree arching toward each other and really pointing us toward the center of the picture. And as from there we can move around and see the other aspects in our painting. Also included with the leaves on the trees, we have the darker greens, darker blue greens, and the lighter blue greens. Also red orange and yellow orange, and they just look really nice together. We also want to capture the reflection of the brightly colored leaves on the tree in the water. And with some finishing touches, and we're done. I'm pleased with the results. I hope you are too. If you've learned anything or enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate your help and support.